Like I said, feel free to share where you're from in chat, what organization you're with, where you're located. Daily Table from Boston, welcome. Edith, welcome from Mexico. Hollywood. Jackie from University of Baltimore. Josie from Alberta. Caitlin from Portland, Bridges to Change. Welcome, everyone. Hey, Mimi, welcome. Good to see you here. Well, why don't we get started? So today I'm going to be inviting people to unmute themselves or to share in chat. The goal of this session is for us to just really, it's a lunch and learn. So I have some things I want to share and teach to everyone, but I'm really hoping that you have something to bring and to share. There's probably something you have to share that someone else here is going to really appreciate hearing. And our topic today, and I don't have slides because our goal again is just to be talking face to face and to keep this conversational as much as possible. And so we'll do our best to manage both people sharing, taking turns with a big group, and also sharing in the chat. And I'll do my best to try to read out things that are said in the chat as I can. But our goal today is to look at some questions, and that's the topic is, what does your organization do to find donors? Where do you look for them? How do you attract them? And my goal is for you to walk away with 3 questions that will help guide you to find where new potentials are for your organization and what they want. 3 strategies to guide you on the most effective way to attract them. And again, these are going to be very briefly looked at, and 1 action step. So I'm Chris Barlow, and I am the Customer Happiness Director of Beeline, which I started in 2015, and I made up that title because that's just what I like to do. And we exist to help nonprofits reach more people through marketing that serves. And the reason we exist and why is we believe that giving and living for others brings joy and purpose to people's lives, and nonprofits are uniquely positioned to help people experience this joy and purpose by connecting them to a cause that's greater for themselves. And the problem is that it's easy for us to have trouble to find, attract, and build a relationship with new people while we're busy with our mission, while we're busy fundraising. It's to be effective in our marketing, to be effective in building a relationship with brand new people. It's a lot of work and it's not easy. And that's why we're here together to talk about this topic. My own claim to fame is that I'm able to get my 2 youngest boys down for a nap every day. So like I said, thank you, Rami. So today I'm gonna, like I mentioned, you may, if you feel comfortable, unmute yourself, turn on your camera if you feel comfortable. Otherwise, you can just type into chat. Share 1 word to describe how you feel about your digital marketing. Failing, says no end to love. Amateur. Caitlin, Mimi, average. Paula, confident. Daily Table says excluded. Candace says lost. Anna, confident. That's great. That's great to hear, Anna. Des says confused. Tiffany, nascent. Yep. Philomena, confused. Josie, overwhelmed. Angela, underwhelmed. Lightner Media Productions, professional. Great. That's great. Anyone else? So what's really interesting is I asked this same question in another webinar, and the answers were almost, I would say, very similar to these, in that 75% of people, of the responses, were kind of negative feelings, but more along the lines of not knowing what to do. It wasn't like it's not working well, we're wasting money, we don't want to do it. It's just we're not sure, we're uncertain. So what are some of the reasons that make you feel the way you do about your marketing? Go ahead, Daily Table.
So we're a grocery store, and most of our social media and marketing is designed to get customers in the door. And we're doing a big marketing overhaul. And so we're kind of putting the marketing on pause until September when we launch this big new campaign. So now I have a unique opportunity to step into that space and claim it for fundraising for August. So I'm asking myself, okay, if I have, let's say 6 to 8 weeks, what can I put together that's going to help me to do a quick and dirty customer acquisition campaign?
Mm-hmm. Cool. Anyone else? What are some reasons that make you feel the way you are about your marketing?
We're a church on the South Shore, south of Boston in Massachusetts, and mostly we're putting out content. And what I'm noticing is that we're not asking people to do anything with that. We're giving them information. And so it feels like there's a gap in the action piece. And much of our content, it's just announcements.
Okay.
And I don't see the benefit.
Yep. Mimi writes, primarily income from Facebook and need to monetize other streams. Josie is team of one. Yeah. Des, different team member styles, and know when to love, don't know where to turn to get new donors. I'm small, under 100. Yeah. Anyone who's feeling good about it? Someone said confident, someone else said professional. Like what contributes to that feeling? If someone can share.
I could share. Hi everyone. We're really good at video marketing. And so a lot of the stuff that we do is we create like a really personalized video. And we find that, and it doesn't have to be so, we put some graphics and things like that, but really it's the message, right? Sharing stories. I mean, we take the individual stories of the people that this money really helps. And when people see that, they have an emotional attachment to it. And that we find causes people to donate more money. So the more emotionally involved you can have through telling your story, whether it's we find through videos the most effective, but whether it's online, to us, we get the biggest donations from people that really relate to either the families that we help feed, or if you're a church, all the outreach that you do in the community to help strengthen the community. And that way we really find that there's a connection. I'm sure you're going to go through it, but a CTA, a call to action to get people to actually do something. So once they see the story, they relate to it, they feel some type of emotion because you're getting them emotionally involved in all the great work that you're doing. And then they end up giving a check or a donation. I mean, that's what we find.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, just video, obviously, because of the engagement, being personal, telling a story. Just what Nathan was sharing from Next After, that control and test and showing.
Oh yeah, Nathan was great. Nathan's great.
That the response with the emotional appeal having a nearly 70% uptick in the number of people who chose to donate was huge. So before I go into some of the things that you can do, what are some of the things that you have done to attract new people and what that you found to be ineffective or effective? Emily writes, sharing of stories really helps.
Well, he just gave me a great idea, Littner Media, which is I did an amazing end of year story about a family who had a family business, and like 10 people in the family were all thrown out of work because of COVID. And the guy was so eloquent about how our low prices helped his family and all that stuff. And he was super charismatic. So maybe I go back to him now and ask him to do a video and use that for my social tool.
That's a great idea. Taking an actual story that you already have.
Yeah, and a story that you have, and then having him tell everybody why it's so important to donate. Like have him say it. He's
awesome. I mean, he's super. I met him in the store, and like I was there interviewing customers, and then within a minute I knew he was my guy.
Yeah.
Cool. Jennifer writes, for the first time we were doing an acquisition mail appeal using a purchased list. great. And just make sure the important thing is to measure and see what kind of, response you get. And if you can do a A/B test of what you send out, that way you can see what kind of, just like they were showing in Next Offer, it's so important to try to optimize and get the best kind of messaging you can. And that the best way to do that is to actually measure the response. Emily L writes, partnering with following other orgs, asking corporate sponsors to follow, like, cross promote. Great. Anyone else have an effective way that they attract new people? There's
we
Go.
we usually have a film festival every 2 years, and last year, due to COVID, of course, we were not able to have it, but we moved the film festival online. And with signups and registration, we really heavily promoted it. We worked with a marketing group to kind of help get that national outreach. We had over 15,000 people sign up to attend the event. And so with all those registrations, it became our acquisition list. And so we planned the film festival through programming, marketing, marketed it. And then I came in the end with fundraising campaigns towards the end of the events, and kind of, we sprinkled also little asks throughout any kind of information that we sent out about the event, like enjoying this programming. If you want to see more online events like this, please donate now. And it really was successful for us. So we continued to do online programming over the last year. We've done several online events and continued to get people to sign up, it's been one of our best fundraising years.
That's awesome. And I love that you guys, you leveraged the fact that everyone was virtual, and then that you didn't forget that the important piece at the end with you needed to have the fundraising at the end and to have that ask, and to in response to like what Philomena was saying, like, we're just putting out content but not asking. I think that's the reason you guys have been so successful. So congrats on that. So I have a question for the group. Does your organization seek to help your donors directly? And if so, how?
Do you mean as customers and clients?
Yeah, like, but the donors themselves, like sometimes as a nonprofit, you're for you guys as a grocery store, the people who support you are probably also people who've shopped there. They may or may not be, but there's going to be nonprofits where the constituencies are completely separate.
Ours are crossover.
Yeah, and then that's great. That's great. That makes it easier. And
We say every shopper's a funder,
yes,
because 65% of the operational expenses are covered by the sales revenue, and then I raise 3 million for the other 35%.
mm-hmm. And so, okay, what about Des? You say yes, we absolutely do. Do you mind sharing how you serve your donors?
Yes, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so our organization sends people on date nights, sends families on date nights and family events. And basically we serve them by allowing a donor, giving them the option to, not immediately after donating, but keep them in the realm, to allowing us to pay for them to take a friend on a double date, like to another couple, to thank them for doing it, and another to allow that connection between them and their friends, especially post-COVID or during COVID and all that. And so that's just another way we thank them, as well as giving them the option, hey, do you have any families that you think could use like a family outing or a date night or something of that sort? And then allowing them to see that their money that they're donating is going to basically directly a family that they know.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's great. So you're helping them experience your mission, and
yes,
become partners.
Yeah, we want partners. We don't. I mean, we spent 2 years funding it ourselves, so I don't necessarily need their money, but I want them to experience it so that they can use their money to do what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'd love their money, but I also would prefer them to be involved and do what we're doing for other families, even if we don't know. Like,
Des,
you don't have to tell me. Yep.
That's brilliant.
Yes.
I just want to tell you that's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, it's just something we do, and it's an odd one, but yeah, we do it and we love it. So thanks for having me on.
Thanks for sharing, Des. Anyone else serve their donors and if you do feel like are able to share?
I mean, we do an annual, like, there's the annual event that we have once a year. But that is a very good question, because the donors, especially the major donors, is like, how are you helping them directly besides either doing dedications or something like that? I mean, that's a really, really good point. So I'm really curious to see what the ideas that everyone shares, because that's a great question.
So guys, I'm founding a new nonprofit. So I have a nonprofit startup, and part of our approach is a social enterprise, but we are for anti-recidivism. So helping people not go back to prison or jail. And then of course, stemming the tide of at-risk youth going to jail. And so in knowing that people coming out of jail need resources, I've decided to make this a membership organization. And so in the way that we'll generate revenue through the membership, and to the members, we will extend resources. So we are a pool of information and resources. And yet in our 1023 for the IRS, we've said that even though we are using social enterprise, we will cap any revenues or any inputs or outputs at 20% aggregate. So that means that even though we will have members and we will take membership dues, those membership dues and fees will not exceed 20% of revenue, but we're still servicing them.
That's great. Thanks for sharing that. And that's a really great cause. So I wish you all the success in that.
Ooh, can I speak one more time now that I feel confident?
Go for it.
I also realized that in our fundraising, we started off kind of doing what we thought we were supposed to do, but we were wildly off brand, like off how we do things, how we live our lives, how we handle ourselves. We started out with a donor dinner, and it was boring and it was really useless, and it cost some money, but whatever, you got to try it. But we've rotated the donor dinner into I don't like the name because we're changing it, but like a donor date night. And so we then have 50 to 100 people, 25 to 50 couples coming on one night so that they can experience what we do for another family. And the beauty with that is that, one, we're sending all these families that I don't know when the last time they've gone on a date night is, but even if we were to raise nothing, we're still doing our mission.
Yes.
Right. So
Yes.
there's no way to fail. And I know maybe that's not the best way to think about it, but my inner not wanting to spend money really helped with that. And I think and the second time we did one, we literally raised 10 times more than the first event, because people got to see what you do versus actually saying it. Yes. I don't know if that makes any sense. Yeah.
Yes. And yeah, and that goes right along with something that I share myself is a nonprofit that I've supported and worked with. They, instead of, they could have a donor list who they say, these are the people that we're impacting every month and telling their story. And sometimes that is the best fit for your organization. That's the way you need to do it. But they can actually give you a taste of that mission by serving you too, and letting you that become your own story of the way that their mission is being fulfilled. And it might look different for you than for someone else. That again, that your audience between your donors and who you're serving in your mission might be very vastly different. But if you can give your donors a taste of that, it's much different to experience it through your own eyes and to say, I want to donate because I'm paying it forward because of the way I've been taken care of. So one concept that I'll summarize is, if you serve people, they'll be attracted to you. So make it part of your mission to serve donors? What are some weaknesses or strengths about the idea of making it part of your mission to serve donors?
Hey, B, can I add something there?
Yeah.
I think so. One of the approaches that we have is from the donor-centered fundraising model. I think that the dinners and the galas and stuff, I think that stuff is kind of phasing out. So what I've decided to do is to have, and so because the donors want to know whom they're impacting, right? And so I think some of the clients, the recipients, they don't necessarily, they might want to know, well, who are the people that are helping us? But I think more to the point is the impact, right? The donors want to feel the impact that they're making, and I think that is how you service the donor. And so what we're planning to do is to have, instead of galas and dinners and all that, we're going to have family day. So what we're going to do is take control of a country club with a pool and a golf course and bring all these at-risk youth kids to the country club to let them experience, something that is beyond what they are normally experiencing, and to allow the donor and their families come, and everybody experiences each other. The donors get to hear their stories and meet the people that their dollars are touching.
I love it. Yep, that's brilliant. Creating that community and a family day, that experience. That's great.
I'm going to comment as a donor and why I sometimes have a negative experience when an organization that I'm supporting financially tries to engage me. It's not my feelings of negativity don't stem from the concept, but from the way that they go about it. So sometimes they sent you these silly little gifts in the mail. And I'm thinking to myself, well, somebody had to put that package together, mail it, and then you're asking me for money, like what's the sense in that? So and it's usually not something that has any utilitarian value. It's something that clutters my house, and so I end up throwing it away. So I don't like that. But what I appreciate are opportunities where there's an event and the donors and the recipients of the activity that the organization is engaging in, where we get to meet person to person, sit around, one human to another, chit chat, share stories. I love those events, and I always make time on my calendar to attend.
Great point, Philomena, on that. Incentives often have the opposite approach from what we intend or desire. And I think that's related to the fact that the organization isn't understanding the donor. And the 3 questions that I said I promised I wanted you guys to walk away with, and we're not running out of time. I just want to bring it up now because it's timely. Is who is our donor? If you want to serve your donor, if you want to help them either feel like partners or feel taken care of by your organization or experience your mission in give them a small taste of it, you need to know who they are. What are the demographics of your donors or your potential donors? What platforms are they on? What are their interests? What are their needs? That's the first question. And the second question is, what is our expertise as an organization? What is our experience, our skills, our knowledge? What are the tools and connections that we have? And the natural third question from that is, where does our expertise overlap with our donors' needs? And that area where those two overlap, there's something in there in that area of opportunity where you can take what you're already doing to fulfill your mission and serve your donors in a small, similar way. Again, it's not going to be some huge program. It might be just a very simple resource. It might be a family day event like that, or it might be a digital ebook or a video of some kind. So that is one way we can discover how we can help people. I see some questions in the chat, so I'm gonna move over to that real briefly. Emily says, I advocate for a move from donor-centered versus community-centered approach. Eliminates the white savior issue. That's a great point. Tiffany asks, when you're working on institutional systemic change, policy, law reform, you're not serving an individual, you don't have clients. How does all this translate? but you are, and then Pat answers, but you are serving individuals who are affected by those institutional quality change and those who believe in the change. Yes, that's it. They're the people who are affected by that change. And so, and what again, what is your expertise in trying to bring about that change? There are people who also want to bring about change, and your skill set could be taught to them, and you can connect them also to your mission. There's probably a group of people who could learn from what you're doing and also care about the outcomes that you're going for, and you can teach them what you know. So in thinking about how to serve our donors, and ensure that they're meaningful, and how can we ensure that what we do, whether it's to put together an event or create a digital guide or something, that it's going to be effective and that people will respond to it? Is there anything we can do, or that you've done, that you knew, oh, this is going to get a good response? And I have some answers here, but I'd love to see if anyone has any thoughts too. How can we create something that gets a response?
I want to say that we would invite, we would take, I mean, I love all the ideas that we're sharing here, and I love all the questions that you're saying, because it really makes us think. What is our expertise? Where does our expertise overlap with our donor needs? So we deal with a lot of Holocaust survivors, and we deal with like over 100 of them. We take care of them every month.
Okay.
And some of the ways that we help to raise funds is that we will bring a speaker, one of them. I love the idea of all of them being there. I mean, I think that is way more effective based on listening to everybody here, which everyone has great ideas. I think an experience day of having all of them come out and meet all of them would take our donations through the roof. What we usually do is we have one come out, and then we have a group of people, and they share with us their story. And, everybody, they have their attention for the amount of time. And then, everybody gets to meet that person and talk to them about their experiences and how they can help effectively, what they can do to donate. But when you take one and then multiply that by like 20 or 30 of them, that's way more impactful in my mind. So that we're definitely going to look at that for sure from what we just learned right now.
And maybe there's a way that you can get a story from each one of those people that you're serving.
Oh my God, yes.
And then put it together in something that's digital. And that way you don't have to, it may not be feasible to get all those people in a room together, but you create something virtual, and now you can, or in digital, and now you can get that in front of all those potential donors and tell all these different stories. Maybe you learn how do we capture people's stories, their life stories. And this process of capturing a life story and making it something that it makes a meaningful memory, we've nailed this. And so not only are we connecting people to these Holocaust survivors in our story, we're teaching them how to capture stories of their own relatives and family members. And so you even teaching that process of, here's how to draw stories out of someone, and learn about their life and connect with your elderly neighbor or your grandpa or grandma or whatever anyway, that's kind of going off on a
great idea.
Just to give a specific there.
Sorry, can I add something?
Go for it.
Leitner, I didn't see his name, but if you had that, either the digital, or if you were able to get everyone in the room, you multiply the amount of, I know we're nonprofit, but I come from business, salespeople in the room on your side here. Because these are all people that are telling the story. These are all people that you serve. So then when they're walking around the room, you've also multiplied yourself by 10. And so with our events, we sprinkle in some of the families that we serve, and it's shocking, because if you have a certain amount of donors, I can't talk to every one of them in a night. I guess I probably could, but I don't want to. So like, these people are doing, they're probably better at selling it because it's their story than you are, and I know we're not selling, but you know what I mean.
100%. You're 100% right. Des, where is your nonprofit organization at?
My nonprofit's in San Diego, California. It's called The Funkles, the Fun Uncles.
Awesome.
As Aaron there, Chris, I think that everything Des said was right on point. Everything you said was on point, Chris, especially regarding story. And so what we're going to do is we're going to get the individual from all of my board members, the individual whys. Tell your story on video, 60 seconds or less. Why are you involved with this organization? What about the mission, the purpose, and the pillars of this organization resonated with you so much that you decided to commit to this board? You decided to commit to 4 retreats every year, et cetera, et cetera. And not only that, in terms of what Des said about meeting and touching all of his donors and supporters in one night, well, you have to consistently, well, I'm assigning all of my board members alphabetically to contact every donor. I don't care if they donate $1, because a $1 million donor may donate $1 to test your process. So every board member has to reach out to donors. And of course, once they get to a certain level, once a donor is at a certain level, then of course the correspondence increases. But to simply reach out, send out a note with a handwritten signature, right? And then a phone call to say, from somebody from the board to say, thank you so much. And that's the beginning for us.
Great. That's great.
That's brilliant.
I want to share ask this question: how could you ensure that what you do to serve your donors will be effective? So I'm going to share 3 strategies for you. Ways to get some data. First, the most data kind of idea. You can create a free account with Google Ads, and there is a tool called the Keyword Planner. And inside that tool, you can find how many people are searching for, or how many searches are done for a given keyword. And that just kind of gives you an idea of the demand. Like, what is there this potential problem that we think or issue or question that our potential donors have? How many people are actually going onto Google and searching for it? And that just gives you some raw data, like, wow, there's 10,000 people who are searching for this on a monthly basis across the US. That's a pretty high volume. Like, people are out really wanting to know more about this or have an issue, and we can address that. You can also, there's a tool inside there that gives you suggested ideas. So you can put in a keyword, and then Google will say, well, here's some related terms. And so you can just, again, do some discovery that way and market research before you take the time to create some kind of research or resource, to make sure that there's really a demand for it. And the next thing you can do is create a survey and send that out to your audience and ask, hey, we are considering creating a resource to address this topic or this topic. And here are the ideas that we have. Which one seems most valuable to you? Which one would be most helpful? And then follow that up with the question, and if we create it, would you like us to send it to you? It'll be free, of course. And the idea is, if you get people who are currently donors or volunteers, partners, and they weigh in with their voice, and then if they say, yeah, I want you to send it to me, then you have a really strong indication that this is something that people want and will really help them. And the third thing to do is to go on the front line of your programs and hear what people are asking and the issues they're bringing to you. And just to use Shamari, your organization, I think this is great, makes for a great example. The things that you do, the skills that your organization has and is going to learn and grow in and use to serve at-risk families, and the donor families, there'll be some overlap. There'll be some donor families who are probably at risk, and there'll be some donor families who aren't technically at risk, but they all have the same family issues in their homes, and the things that lead to them being at risk or not might be a little different, but they're going to have issues with making sure their kids are making good friends, and they have good relationships with their kids, and so anything that you're learning with those families that you're serving and helping them because they're at risk are things that you can take and turn and apply and say, hey, we've got all this experience in helping at-risk families. We can certainly help your family too. And here's an ebook that we've created to address the same issue for your family. So that's those 3 ways: the survey, getting the frontline, and Google Ads are just great, helpful ways to get some data before you take the time to create a resource to serve people. I'm going to take a quick moment because we're running out of time. I just want to mention, if you want more of my own strategy on how to attract new donors, a 6-step process, I'm going to drop the link in the chat. I have a free ebook that you can download. It's nonprofits.beeline.marketing. But I don't want to end with that. I just wanted to mention that so you can go get that anytime you need to. What are 1 or 2 of the most important ideas that emerged from you from this time together? I wish we had more time. It goes so fast. What's 1 or 2 most important ideas for you?
Sorry, can you just repeat that email one more time? That I don't see it in the
Yeah,
link in
it's
the chat.
nonprofits.beeline.marketing.
Thank you.
Let me type it out again. Thank you for mentioning that. There we go. I made it a clickable link this time. So yeah, anyone want to share one or two most important ideas that emerged? Or if there's one, go ahead, Anna.
Sorry, I was just listening. I work at a nonprofit and I also volunteer at a very different one. And I'm located in a very small town. So the donors are very specific people, but we do struggle getting new donors because digital communications here are not super successful. COVID has made it a little bit more visible. But I think, like, I also come from a commercial background. So sometimes the strategies that you use in commercial activities are not much welcome into nonprofit environments. So I think it is like, I was just listening to the examples that everyone was talking about. And the thing that I can keep is that it is pretty much about the mission and the vision of the organization and making it visible for everyone to be part of it. I'm just wondering though, when you have, I don't know, like a nonprofit where anonymity is like a super crucial thing, how do you do that? Like, how do you work around that? Because for victims of any sort, it's like not everyone is going to be comfortable going out to say, hey, this is my story and this is how I got help, for example, especially when it is this context where like everyone knows everyone. So I was wondering if you had any, I don't know, tips on how to engage people with things that they don't feel closely related to, although everyone knows that's like an important service.
Anna, what's your mission?
So like the nonprofit I work for is an art gallery, but the one I volunteer for is a women's resource center. So this is very much focused on victims of domestic violence. So this is like women and children.
That's a tough one because they, for their own safety, often need to maintain their anonymity.
Yeah.
So that is a great question. I'm really glad you asked it. If you want to, if you feel comfortable to share your email, that way anyone here can reach out to you. I'm happy for you to reach out to me. I'm going to drop my email in the chat. And I would love to keep talking, but I want to respect the CauseVox time limit. And so you guys can rejoin the main session. And I will also drop the Zoom link to the main session back in the chat. Please feel free to reach out to me, Chris@beeline.marketing. I would love to continue the conversation. You can find me on LinkedIn as well, Chris Barlow, Beeline, connect with me there. And I'd love to just hear how your organizations are doing. If you're trying to apply this idea of serving donors, and what successes and challenges you're having. And Anna just dropped her email there. So yeah, feel free to go back and join the main session. And if you don't want to join the main session and you want to stick around, that's fine. I have a few more minutes and I'm happy to stick around here too, but I don't want to keep you from the main session if that's where you want to go. So
this was really helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for participating.
Very good presentation.
Thank you, Olivet.
Very enjoyable. Thank you.
Thanks, Philomena. Good to see you.
You too.
Thank you, Philomena. Thanks for participating.
Thanks, Chris. You're awesome.
Yeah. Thanks, Chris.
Chris, that was fantastic. Thank you so much. A lot of value. Thank you.
Good. Great. Good to have you. Yay, making a friend. Hey, that's the number one right there. All right, everyone, have a good day. And again, reach out to me if you'd like to talk further. I'm going to end the meeting now.